Our daily Bible reading and devotion for April 22nd. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17, beginning in verse 1. And he said to his disciples, "Temptations to sin are sure to come, but woe to the one through whom they come. It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were cast into the sea, than that he should cause one of these little ones to sin. Pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in a day, and turns to you 7 times, saying, 'I repent,' you must forgive him." The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." And the Lord said, "If you had faith like a grain of mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. Will any one of you who has a servant, plowing or keeping sheep, say to him when he has come in from the field, 'Come at once and recline at table'? Will he not rather say to him, 'Prepare supper for me, and dress properly, and serve me while I eat and drink, and afterward you will eat and drink'? Does he thank the servant because he did what was commanded? So you also, when you have done all that you were commanded, say, 'We are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty.'" On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourself to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus answered, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And he said to him, "Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well." Our devotional thoughts for today. The sense of entitlement has been a thorn in the flesh for corporations, organizations, governments, nations, and even families for such a long time. That feeling that something is owed me beyond what I have worked for. Depending on which side of the issue you were on makes a difference in many cases, your feeling about entitlement. For those who own a business and hire out work to individuals, they feel as though the money they pay in wages is sufficient in return for the work provided. It is when the hired worker feels that more is deserved due to loyalty or devotion or even jealousy of what others receive, that's when problems arise. In today's passage, God's grace is put on the stand to show it for what it is. For in God's mercy, he has taken the poor, sinful man and offered him a place in the highest heaven. He was under no obligation in the least to have even considered such an offer in light of man's sinful and vile nature. Whatever God offers us is by his own charity and certainly not owed for our labor. It is well and good to speak of such things as grace and unmerited favor. Yet when we begin to speak of what more we might receive by the amount of work we do, well, that's when we need to put the brakes on and have nothing more to do with the subject. Still, for some, the thought of the more I do, the more God will be pleased with me is a dangerous path to tread. Several verses could be cited to show man's struggle and search to find his worth in the world compared to the greatness of God. We might turn to Job 22:2 or Psalm 16:2 to show man's feeling of God's superiority. The disciples were concerned of much was not theirs to contend with. In Acts chapter 1 and verse 6, they questioned as to when the kingdom would come. In John 21:21, we find that they are concerned about the other people in the disciples. Luke 9:49 and Matthew 18:1, concerned about the place of them in the kingdom. We are to be content with the work that we have been given in the kingdom. When all is said and done and we lay down our instruments of labor, all that will be said of us will be that we did the work that was assigned, and with that we shall be content. Question of the day. Do you ever feel as though your labor for the Lord ought to receive more attention? And a thought to meditate on this day. Perhaps we all feel that our worth is much greater than it is rated. It may be that we should be thankful we don't get what we truly deserve. Those are our thoughts for today, April 22nd.